I admire that about my dad a lot, that he wasn't willing to compromise with me even when I was an incredibly poor student. And I think that's what it was about. I was a very poor student. I was a D student for, in the latter part of middle school and the beginning of high school, and I think that my parents kind of decided that that was not acceptable.
Interesting. So I'm sure they were delighted when you told them that you wanted to be a starving writer.
Well, that's the thing, though. They were amazingly supportive. They just said as long as you work hard, that's all. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure they're very proud of you now.
Yeah, so they say. I don't know. I still feel like I have to do more.
We gave them a grandchild. They're really proud.
I know. Seriously, everything I ever did was nothing compared to Henry.
You could have done that at 14.
I know. I actually said that to my mom. Don't.
We do not advocate.
If you ever think that you want a baby, I want you to do something for a week. I want you to set your alarm to go off every 2 hours, and then I want you to stay awake for 30 minutes. But not just stay awake. Stay awake playing a tape that does this. For 30 minutes, then go to bed for an hour and a half and wake up and do that over and over and over again for a week. And then if you still want a baby, then you need to get therapy.
Breeders are so funny.
I know. Thank you for controlling population growth.
All right, so that segues into my next and perhaps obvious question for anyone who's read this book, but what's the importance for both of you of writing grounded gay characters?
I mean, I think it's important to do rounded any characters, but I mean, I think for me, with my first book, Boy Meets Boy, it was that teen literature especially, but literature in general as well, sort of had this huge misery index for gay characters.
Mm-hmm.
That at first you had to die, then you could live, but your dog had to die, which was really strange. I mean, seriously, there were 3 or 4 books published in the 70s where the character came out and simultaneously his dog was hit by a car. Very strange. And then finally we got to a point sort of in the early 2000s where the reward for the gay characters was you can be an outsider and you'll find 1 or 2 other outsiders to sit with you at lunch and you can be gloomy and outsiders together because the world is against you, but at least you have a friend. And that just wasn't really real to me. And so I very much wanted to blow that up and wrote Boy Meets Boy partially because I just wanted dippy, happy, gay romance because a lot of gay kids have dippy, happy romances. And from that, it just sort of, in the reaction to that, made me realize that this was such an underrepresented area to discuss and explore that I just wanted to discuss and explore it. And so the cool thing is that after a certain point, the characters did have to be well-rounded, and they did have to really justify their being, and you couldn't just have a simple coming out story. You really had to go to the intricate ways. Maya Will Grayson is a really interesting character to me because he knows he's gay, he's fine with it, he doesn't fight against it at all. And he's not really worried about what other people think about that or anything else. But at the same time, he is kind of keeping it to himself, more because he doesn't want his business to be the world's business, and it's not really because he's gay, he just wants to be himself. He's a private person.
Yeah, he feels that way about a lot of other things besides sexuality.
Right. And so, again, the arc that I wanted him to have was I wanted him to, again, break out of that shell he had put himself into. And that was not a story I necessarily read before. So he's one sort of example, but then, again, you have Tiny Cooper, who is has a totally different experience with his life and his sexuality.
Yeah, I just wanted to write as true a story as I could about a friendship between not only a gay guy and a straight guy, but between someone who wants to, suck the marrow out of life and someone who wants to keep his head down and try to make it through. And I think I found both of those tensions interesting. And I wanted Tiny Cooper to be a well-rounded character because otherwise it's no fun to read.
Well,
So,
he could have easily devolved into kind of a very stereotype.
Yeah, I was definitely conscious of that and worried about it. I wanted to say, I guess, in a way that what I like about Tiny, hopefully, is that he's apathetic to the stereotype. He does like musicals. but he also plays football. And so he just doesn't, if it's stereotypically gay to like something that he likes, then that's fine. And if it's not, then that's fine too. And I really wanted him to be that way. I wanted him to be, you know, like it's okay to like Madonna. And it's okay to like Madonna if you're straight, you know? I love Madonna. And you make fun of Madonna in your chapters.
That's just one aside. My world does not like Madonna. I personally do, but...
Right, no, I know.
You can't mistake us for our characters.
I know.
But no, I mean, it is... I mean, and it's been great because it really has not been an issue for the book.
Yeah, which is awesome.
If this book had been published 10 years ago, everybody would have been like, what the hell is this strange gay book? It would have been just like pigeonholed, and it would have been a struggle, and we would have heard from a lot more commentators than we have yet. I'm sure now we're going to hear from them, but bring it on, bring it on. But really, it's not, I mean, that's not what the book is about. The book is about identity, and that's definitely one form of identity that's involved in the book, but it's certainly not the only one.
Yeah, it's not an agenda book, because we don't like those. I don't think either of us likes them. And regardless of what the agenda is, they're boring.
Well, I actually think that the best thing that could happen to this book is that it gets banned in Peoria or something, because then you get like, ooh, what's this book? And then everyone really wants to read it. And that's what those book burners don't realize, is they're actually, you know, popularizing the book.
It's true, yeah.
But we're trying to take an end run around that. I've done that before, so it's like, been there, done that, been picketed. You know, it's tiring. It's just
Yeah, I mean, it probably sells books, but it's such a pain. You know, and it's not fun enough.
Well, your book is really funny, too. I mean, you guys just have so many funny little one-off lines, and a lot of them are just asides. There's something tossed off that the character is thinking, like, well, I know she's dating douche pants McWaterpolo. Or Greta's boyfriend will disembowel me if I use any SAT words in his presence. Did you guys work at that? Did you hone those one-liners, or did they just kind of come naturally?
We spent 3 weeks up in the Catskills at Laugh Camp.
With Fort Saul.
Take my wife, please!
It's all in the please!
The secret of our success is timing.
I didn't know the joke.
So, no, I mean, honestly, one of the best things we did, which again, we did not intend to do going into it, was reading it aloud to each other first. And I mean, usually when I write, I don't have an audience in mind, but when I was writing this time, I was like, I'm going to have to read this aloud to John and Sarah. And there's no better feeling in the world than making your co-author laugh. So I definitely was sort of, again, it fit the book and fit the characters, but definitely that first time when, if it got a laugh, I was like, okay, that line is totally staying in. And if I'd written a joke and they were like staring at me like, what's the next sentence, David? I was like, all right, that didn't land quite as well. So yeah, but I think both of our characters, I think that's just their voice. And for my character especially, the humor is totally an escape. I mean, he will go off on these potty-mouthed tangents, which are hopefully funny, but it is his way of sort of avoiding the subject of his life, which is, I think, something we all do a lot.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think that those one-off lines are both the key to survival and one of the keys to enjoying life. And so, yeah, I was doing that to try to entertain you, but I was also doing it because I think that when you're in high school, the pleasure of being funny is it's almost a way of being angry that's socially acceptable, or a way of being hurt that's socially acceptable, because doesn't always feel socially acceptable to say to your friends, like, I am feeling pain today. I am so sad. But if there's a way to express that in a way that makes them laugh, then it becomes socially acceptable.
Right. I mean, there's the contrast. Obviously, Maura expresses it in her poetry, which is not
right.
Going to laugh, but I think it's two different approaches to pain. You can be really serious and write your goth blood poetry, or you can be like our Wills and really just sort of snark out at the world.
Yeah.